Fibromyalgia, chronic pain, cancer. These are just a few of the chronic diseases that my Thin Thinking guest has helped her patients heal from naturally. Join me as I interview Dr. Judy Seeger, and she talks about managing chronic pain and disease naturally and also advises us on ways to practice prevention. So come on in. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the Thin Thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Hello, Thin Thinking friends. Come on in. Get cozy. February is proving to be a pretty busy month. It's usually, one of my quieter months. January, as somebody who helps people stop smoking and also manage their weight, January and the beginning of February are pretty, you get that beginning of the year boom with everybody wanting to make a change. But things kind of slow down in February, and my life slows down because the holidays are just busy, and I have a feeling for you that might be the case as well, that February is just a little bit more of a quiet month, but this year it is not so much so. My daughter is getting ready to go and study abroad in Germany. She's going to Berlin this term, and so we're getting her ready. My daughter, I love her dearly. I hope she doesn't hear this podcast ever. She is smart, she is amazing and organized, but she puts everything off to the last minute and has a tendency to underestimate the amount of time that things take. Maybe you have a child who is like this as well, or a spouse, but she takes everything and really minimizes it down. Now, I do it too sometimes, but I'm sure we all do, but she's a chronic abuser of time. So, of course, we are scrambling to get it all together, no matter how much I tried not to nag her and let her, learn her lessons and everything. It's hard sometimes as a mom to put your feelings to the side of the road. So I try to, but sometimes I don't do as well as I'd like. It's kind of crazy. In Germany, the second term, when you go to college in Germany, the second term begins in late March. So, if you live in Europe, of course, you get it and you understand that, because I think that you don't really take summer breaks there, that you divide the year up differently. I love it. It's kind of cool. I love having that different perspective. My sister, her sons are in the English school system, and I love just learning and hearing about how they go through their school year a lot different than my kids do. So that brings me to introducing our guest today, Dr. Judy Seeger. You are going to love her. She is so cool, and she has this really different take on healing that I thought you would enjoy hearing. Just a completely different perspective that is really interesting and powerful, and it's outside the scope, well, not completely outside of the scope of traditional Western medicine, but she just has a different take on things, and she's helped so many people heal. So Dr. Judy was trained as a traditional naturopath, specializing in using natural therapies, foods, and detoxing to help people heal. She is the owner of 2 holistic clinics over 30 years, and now is focused on showing her shortcut methods through online programs. Her mission has always been to give back hope to those who have been in chronic pain and inflammation, and so that they can live a full, healthy, and vital life, even if they've been suffering for years. Dr. Judy believes all disease can be reversed, as proven on herself and thousands of her patients, including healing Lyme disease, frozen shoulder, to gallstones. So join me in welcoming Dr. Judy Seeger. Hello, Dr. Judy. Welcome to the Thin Thinking Podcast. We're really happy to have you here today.
So happy to be here as well. Always excited to talk to you, Rita. So much respect for you and all that you're doing. I'm excited about today's show.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure our listeners are excited to hear about you and your experience and expertise with chronic pain, because so many of our listeners are challenged with some pain of some sort that is chronic. But tell us a little bit about, for those of our listeners who don't quite know what a naturopath is, tell us a little bit about what you do and what a naturopath is.
Sure. So naturopath is basically a natural healing doctor. And the best way to explain that is, you know what a GP is, right, Rita? A general practitioner, a medical doctor. They cover everything. And it's the same thing with naturopaths. We cover a multitude of areas when it comes to healing. And the reason I got into it was back in 1994. 95, after my 16 years of a horrible, sad marriage, I was like, okay, what do I do now in my 30s, right? And I had a lot of health problems. I had chronic migraines, I had gallstones, kidney stones, near heart attack, UTIs.
Wow.
I had a long list of health problems. And a lot of it, of course, was the bad marriage, but also because I was eating the wrong foods. I was stressed out. I was a single mother. I had a lot going on, right? And when I was in that point in my career, is like, okay, do I do something in the medical world, because I was very interested in health stuff, or do I do the natural healing world? And I decided, you know what? The medical world took out my appendix, took out my adenoids, and they didn't help me with anything. And I just didn't see that route, because in my family, I had about 3 people in my family who had stomach cancer, and they went the traditional route and they all died. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I don't think so. So back then in the 90s, nobody really knew much about naturopaths. People knew more about chiropractors, nutritionists, and whatnot. So I was pretty much on the forefront of that. And I said, well, I'm going to go all in. I opened up my first clinic in Green Bay, Wisconsin, was there for a number of years, and absolutely loved seeing the changes that naturopathy did for people. And I work specifically with people with cancer, because that was my heart, is to help those on their cancer healing journey. But they all had the same problem. Everybody had major inflammation of some kind. I had major inflammation when I got into this. But slowly over the years, I figured out what it takes to get rid of the chronic pain, inflammation. And so now here I am, 65 years old, zero inflammation, zero pain, figured out the shortcut, and it works. And it's not that hard now. But of course, it's always easy when you come out on the other side, right?
Right.
Time. But that's why I decided to become a naturopath, so I could learn for myself how to heal, help my people who came to my clinic, and then really, like now, as we're doing on this podcast, let's get the word out to help people in a bigger way, so they don't have to worry about pain and inflammation. We don't want them suffering.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Inflammation does seem like it's the root of every disease. Would you say that that's true? You look
100%.
amazing. I know you guys can't see Judy because this is an audio, but Judy, and 65 is not, I mean, like, I'm in my late 50s, but you look damn good, girl.
Well, I feel really good. And I get it. Thank you so much for that compliment. I feel really good, except the day I woke up and I saw the wrinkles and I was like, doggone it. How did I get those wrinkles? But that's part of it, right? But what makes me so excited, Rita, and I want people to catch this, is when you don't, not only when you don't have pain, right? So some people might say, oh, I don't have that much pain. I don't have really chronic issues, whatever. But eventually something is going to happen. Like recently, I got a new bike, and I hadn't ridden a bike for a while, and the way I was parking it, I forgot to put my brakes on, and I fell over, and I hurt my hips. My hips went out, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Shit! Oh, I got my hip." My okay. So, but what was so cool, and this is what I want to give people today, is I knew how to fix it, and
Right.
within a few weeks, bam, I was good as new, girl. I had, and it wasn't about taking pills. It was nothing to do with that. It was all about knowing the steps that it takes to heal the pain and not worry about it becoming a chronic issue. Like so many people who like have an accident, and then next thing you know, they have arthritis, they have autoimmune, they have all these issues because they didn't know how to fix it from the get-go. They just took a bunch of pills,
Mm.
supplements, whatever. And that doesn't work. Pills do not work when it comes to chronic pain and inflammation. It's not
Well,
work.
why don't we start with the basics? Like what is chronic pain and inflammation? Like what is the basis of that?
Yeah, it's very important to know the foundation, because the more you know, the more you could fix it when it comes down the road, right? So inflammation is your body's natural response to an injury or to stress or toxins.
Hmm.
So, for example, if you're in an environment where there's a lot of toxins coming in, your body starts to try to protect you. And I used to do a lot of microscope work where you saw the blood, and I was able to analyze the blood and see that blood will coagulate where there's a problem. So, for example, if you're outside and you're, being exposed to a lot of chemicals and, different things are happening as you're driving home in traffic, you start getting allergies. It's like, well, where did these allergies come from? It's like, well, because you're out in environmental toxins, or at home, your windows are closed, and here we are winter, and you got air fresheners and you got household sprays going on. All those chemicals are going into you, and your body starts to get inflamed, and you wonder, well, where's this pain coming from? Why do I have these symptoms? And it's really
And
your body's response to protect itself from the poisons coming in. Now, to add to that, what's very important is you could also have a inflammatory response due to stress. And stress could be anything from a bad marriage, family issues, work issues, and you're like, well, how does stress affect my inflammation? It does. It actually changes the pH in your blood and becomes more acidic. The next thing you know, your body is in an inflamed response, and now everything is hurting and everything is an issue, and it becomes a problem. And the reason I know that, because when I had my clinic and I saw people take care of themselves, deal with their stress, the inflammation went down. It was
wow.
like, we didn't, like, they would bring me boxes of supplements, and tell me what to take, and I would say, let's put this over here and deal with the real stress in your life, what's going on. And then, of course, tears would come, and we'd find out, and we start dealing with all the different stresses. And within a week, they went from a 10, level 10 of chronic pain and inflammation, to a 5. And next week, it went down to a 4, a 3, a 2, just
Right.
by dealing with the root issues, right? So that's what you have to understand. It's your body's way of protecting itself, but if you don't deal with it, it just gets worse.
Now, speaking of which, why is this something that we should be concerned with as we age?
Yeah, so my specialty was cancer. And so when I saw people not taking care of their chronic inflammation back in the day, then the next thing that happened was that they were stuffing it under the rug, meaning they were taking pills, and they were, trying to do quick things and pain meds, whatever. And then the body's immune response, because when you're in a heightened state of inflammation all the time, the immune system goes down. Like,
Mm.
your body can't do so many different things like at one time. It takes a lot for the body to say, okay, wait, I have this inflammation going on. Like, for example, if you have a cut on your skin, right? What
Right.
happens? There's called fibrin that's in the
Hmm.
blood that gets together and then starts forming a scab right away, right? And that's your body's natural response. But what about when it's an organ, right? What about if
Mm.
it's your liver? What about if it's your stomach? What about if it's a joint? Whatever. Your body will go to that area and bring all the tools that it has, all the T cells, the macrophage, the protein enzyme, like everything it has to heal it. But if you're not taking care of yourself and still in a high stress mode and still eating crappy food, still drinking alcohol every night, your body can't deal with it. And now
Mm.
it starts to spread and it goes into your muscles and it goes into your organs and it starts getting worse and worse until you're just a big inflamed body that it is going to definitely have a disease. It's not a maybe, it's a for sure that your body will break down, your immune system response will break down, and you will end up with the disease. I know I hate to say the bad news, but there's good news at the end. But that's
Can I ask you, so that's really helpful to understand. How do you see this? Because, we are thin thinkers and we are a weight mastery group. How is chronic pain and inflammation connected with weight?
yeah, that's a great question because so let me ask you a question, Rita.
Yes.
When toxins come into the body, whether it's through food or environmental toxins or whatever, where do you think your body stores the toxins to protect your organs?
Well, I would say, that's a good question. Maybe your gut? I don't know. Is
Right.
that?
See, people don't know. Thank you for being a good sport about it. It goes to your fat cells.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, that makes
So
sense.
your fat is
That's
storing
right.
toxins.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with weight. Look, I'm 65, I'm about 10 pounds over. I don't care. Right? I'm not gonna,
You look fantastic. You don't look
well,
10 pounds over,
I
whatever.
am
But yeah,
in my
you
best.
get on. Okay.
Listen, if I put my bikini on, the fat starts to hang. What can I say? Which is fine. But it's when you get to be 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight and up. Now, the challenge is this. The toxins are being stored in your fat cells, right?
Hmm.
And your fat cells are protecting your organs, right? But here's the challenge. It puts more stress on your immune system because now your immune system has to deal with the toxins and to keep you strong and healthy. That's hard. It's kind of like if you have a bunch of dishes in the sink, right? And you don't wash them for weeks on end, what's going to happen? It's going to get yucky, moldy, disgusting, whatever, right? Are they still plates and dishes in the sink? Yeah, they can be used, but they're gross, right? They're bleh. So same thing in your body. It's still there and putting a major stress on your immune system, which is why I'm always worried about people who are really overweight. It's not about that. It's the stress of the toxins. And then, of course, the other issue as we get older, when you're 50 and older, it's really sad that we have to get old, but we do. It's part of life, is that it puts weight on your joints, right? So I
Mm,
get a lot of people complaining about hip issues, arthritis in the knees, their feet are hurting, right? So, 10, 20 pounds, that's not a big deal. But when it starts getting more than that, your joints can't handle it. And so
right.
they start pushing on each other and grating on each other, and then they become inflamed. Guess what happens next? Arthritis,
Of course.
osteoporosis, all those things. And there's no reason, right? So that's the only reason I say get your weight down so your body is not stressed out and you don't have to worry about painful diseases coming down the line.
Judy, that's so interesting because now that I know you put me on the spot and asked me, and I said it was the gut, but I do know, and I do advise when people go to, release weight, that they don't try to release more than 2 pounds per week because of the toxins, because it can be very poisonous to release weight more quickly, right? Would you
Smart
say?
answer, 100%. Yeah, not more than two because it does put stress on your liver, and your colon. So what'll happen is your liver has to now filter that excess toxins that you're releasing, right? And
Right.
that could make you nauseous. It'll start
Mm,
giving you headaches. It'll start making you have diarrhea. It'll do just a lot of things. So it's not good to push the liver that much. And then the colon has an issue because it's like, whoa, I got to release all these toxins. So a lot of times that's when women lose weight rapidly. They get diarrhea, they don't feel good, they get weak. Those are
mm,
all because they're releasing the toxins too fast. Now, You can release toxins quickly if you're doing other things like sweating and doing colon hydrotherapy, but that's a whole nother level, right? And it's
Right.
not necessary. It's just, look, take 2 pounds a week, just relax, let your body acclimate to the change,
Yes.
and then it's less stressful and you feel better. You feel
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. So now you've walked us through this. Tell us, what are some first steps to reducing chronic pain and inflammation? So if somebody wanted to say, okay, you've inspired me, Judy. I want to take some first steps forward. What would they do?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, the first thing is to reduce the stress. That's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. When I was at the
Mm.
maximum stress levels with my pain and going through all that, and they told me, you got to change it, because I was working 70, 80 hours in the clinic and a single mom and doing all this stuff at home. It was insane. It was like, yeah, I was really sick. So that's a hard step to take. But learning how to take care of yourself, and I'm not talking about meditation even. I'm like, look, you got to take an hour out for yourself every day, and you got to learn to take care of yourself. Now, in that hour of taking care of yourself every day, there's some very simple natural therapies you could do, like a detox bath, like just sitting and just doing nothing and relaxing. Hardest thing a woman will ever do. Yeah, but so then I say, well, then what can we do to reduce the pain quickly and bring it down? Is protein. So there's a
Mm.
big movement right now, Rita. I don't know if you've been watching the news. Everybody's saying, eat more protein, even for the women. And I was like, what are they saying? How much protein? And they're saying quite a bit. But I'm going to give your people the secret
Hmm.
sauce that
Okay.
nobody's talking about. All right.
Okay.
This works. Okay.
Lay it on us, Judy.
So, okay, here you're on the spot again, Rita. What, I know you're interviewing me, but sorry, I have a
It's
question.
okay. I get it.
It's more fun this way.
It
Um,
is.
what are the three types of food that you need at every single meal?
Well, I would say protein. I would
Mhm.
say probably some healthy fats. And I would say, I mean, I carbohydrates in vegetable form, I would say.
A
Did I
plus,
get it
A
right?
plus. You did.
Oh, I'm a good student.
You did
Yay.
really good. You did really well. So that's all you need. Everybody needs to hear that. Every single meal has to have. Now, I'm sure, Rita, you teach your people how much proteins, fats, carbohydrates, but here's the deal. When chronic pain and inflammation is an issue, then you need to have protein. But the secret sauce is this: it has to be digested, it has to be absorbed. And 9 times out of 10, when you're in a lot of stress, either physically, mentally, or emotionally, your body can't digest that protein very well. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it starts, and then your stomach starts to feel heavy. And most women will say, oh, I have gas, bloating, constipation. Yeah, girl, because you're not digesting that protein. But here's the trick: is the gas and bloating above your belly button, or is it below your belly button? And I'm going to teach your people and you the secret here. If it's above, and the medical doctors know that this is not a big secret, but they just don't tell you. I'm going to tell you. So if it's above the belly button, that means that the gas and bloating is because you're not digesting the proteins or the fats or the carbohydrates, but mostly the protein, and it sits there, and your body doesn't have enough acid to break it down. So what's the remedy? I'm going to tell the remedy. You could drink a little lemon juice with your meal,
Mm.
probably
Hmm.
before, or apple cider vinegar. 1 little teaspoon, put in water, fantastic for the stomach because it increases the acid and it helps to break down the protein. Now, what if the heaviness after meal is below your belly button? That means there could be constipation issues, all that. Well, now you need to deal with the colon, right? So now you need to take some herbs to help things moving and get the fiber, get that going so that your bowel movements are better. And then the protein gets absorbed, and you'll find, oh, bingo dingo, that inflammation is going down. Now, the quickest way, the quickest food, what is the quickest food that will help us do that? A smoothie. That by
Mm.
far is smoothie. It's, you take a little almond milk, you put a little protein powder in there, you mix it up, and you drink it, especially in the afternoon or evening, so that when you sleep, you have that extra protein, you're going to sleep better. You're not going to have pain. You're going to wake up refreshed because the inflammation is down, because you're giving the body the protein at nighttime is when you need it
Oh,
the most.
wow. That is
Yep.
very interesting. What do you recommend any particular type of protein powder? Like
Yeah.
pea protein or whey protein?
Yeah. I've been called on the carpet for this, but I stand by it. I never recommend pea protein.
Okay.
I know, right? Because I've been in this 30 years. And when I see a fad going like this, and every single product on the market is pea protein, I'm like, why is there pea protein everywhere? So I call up my friends who are manufacturers and they're formulators with integrity. I said, hey guys, why does everybody put pea protein, but you don't? They said, oh, didn't you know? Right now it's a big fad because they have an excess of pea protein and they're just putting it as a filler, but it puts on weight. It puts
Hmm.
on weight and it's very hard to digest. It's a very, very hard fiber to digest.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, and it's high in oxalic acid, which makes pain worse. So I don't recommend it at all. I recommend whey protein. Like if it says on the label protein isolate or protein concentrate, perfect. And that's what I drink. I just drink, I try different ones. I don't recommend any particular product or brand, but definitely, definitely a concentrate or isolate. Put it in my smoothie, drink it in the afternoon or evening, bam, I sleep like a baby.
Wow. I love
Yep.
that.
Simple.
You
Because
heard it here
protein,
first,
yeah, because
folks.
protein is when do you absorb the protein that your body needs the most is when you're sleeping.
Okay. That's all great to know. Um, so we can reduce stress, we can elevate protein. What about sugar and stuff like that? What should we be doing with that, Judy?
Well, you're the queen about sugar crazy.
But I want people to know what Dr. Judy thinks about sugar.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was a sugar queen. Yeah, I'm raising my hand for years, for decades, really. And what I learned as I got healed from my chronic pain, inflammation, lost the weight, I didn't crave it as much, right?
Mm,
And because I make sure I have my proteins, fats, and carbohydrates at every meal, and I'm absorbing it, so I don't crave it because sugar does two things. Well, three, but two for short, where it will steal minerals from your body, right? So it
mm.
steals magnesium, it steals your potassium, it steals from your body, which will make your muscles and your joints ache more. So that's not good. And then the other thing, of course, it's a empty carbohydrate, and we're talking all sugar. So I'm talking fruit sugar. I'm
Mhm.
talking all the honey and agave. It's sugar. Is sugar is sugar. Glucose is
Right.
glucose in your body. So
Okay.
it's not a good thing. And so it's not a thing that will help the energy levels at all and will make the inflammation worse because it doesn't have enough nutritive value to help the inflammation to fight and to heal your body on any level.
Okay. So reduce stress, up the protein, lower the sugars, even fruit. That's interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah. Well, when I was trying to figure out how do I give my people shortcuts to chronic pain and inflammation,
Mm,
one of the things I found was I used to recommend apples all the time or pears, things with fiber, right? And
yeah.
people were still struggling, and I'm like, okay, what could help them? And the only fruit that I have seen consistently help is blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, because it has something called eleagic acid, which is a like a binder that helps for the system, but and also has natural fiber. But here's the trick: if you're going to have fruit at all, right? I mean, I'm telling people not to have all these different things, but in the morning, have
Mm.
your fruit before 12 noon, so it gives your body the rest of the day to work it off. Because if you have it in the afternoon, it always makes inflammation worse and it's harder to sleep at night. It's better to have your fruit in the morning, but the only ones I ever have are berries now, and that's all I
Is
recommend.
that because they're also lower in sugar?
Lower in sugar, yes, for sure. Yeah, definitely. But it's still natural sugar. And, sugar is
Yeah.
sugar, like we said.
Yeah.
So I just don't recommend, and especially as we get older, we don't need a lot of sugar. We really need more proteins and fats, of course, for our brain to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia. But really, you don't need a lot of fruit in your diet. I thought you did, but you really don't. Vegetables, way more, but fruit,
Hmm.
not so much. I know.
Do you
Sorry, everybody.
do you recommend like coming back to mindset? Because I know you were talking about the de-stressing. Well, one question I had, and I didn't ask you, you talked about a detox bath. Is there anything specifically you would put in a bath to do this detox?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I call it a detox bath just because I've been doing it like that for years. So the very basic is 2 cups of Epsom salt
Mm. And
because
that has magnesium in it?
magnesium sulfate, correct. And so you could take magnesium orally, but in the bath, it just relaxes your muscles and then you sweat. Now, the challenge is everybody says, well, I don't sweat because I never used to sweat for years. And now I sweat looking outdoors. I'm already sweating. Being on this podcast, you're making me sweat, right? Um, so it's a matter of when you sweat, the toxins are released. That's why I call it it's a natural form of the toxins being released. So
Mm.
women tend to glow, men tend to sweat. That's just the way it is.
Mm.
But we need to glow. Girls, we
Hmm.
need to every single day, 30 minutes of sweating is what I recommend. So the bath is the easiest. Some people say, I don't have a bath. Well, then put your feet in it, go outside, go find a sauna, go get a sauna. I mean, you could pick one up for $200 now. I keep one, I have two in my
Really?
house. Oh yeah,
Wow.
$200. Yeah, I could tell people the name of the one on Amazon that I use, but you got to sweat every single day. It's super, super important to release those. And then you lose weight faster too.
Mm.
That's a double win. So 2 cups of magnesium sulfate. If people want to put other stuff in there, lavender oil is nice. Putting some baking soda, sea salt in there. That's a different level where it really pulls out some toxins. But the main thing is 30 minutes, 2 cups of Epsom salt, and sweat, sweat, sweat to get your toxins out.
Nice. That sounds great.
Easy.
So, is there what have you found? I mean, like, so stress management. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Mindset, and I know I talk about meditation, I talk about hypnosis, but when you were working with people with high levels of stress, would you have them in that hour? I mean, like, obviously, this bath sounds incredibly meditative. Uh, do any mindset work, any sort of, in your practice, do you have people focus on, closing their eyes, visualizing anything? Or is that you're just working on I mean, obviously you're working on mind and body, but are you focusing them in any other way?
Yeah, so I 100% believe in it. But here's what happened to me. And then when I saw my clients, I hope I stay friends with you on this one, uh, is that when you're in pain, like
Yeah.
I remember my chronic migraine, it was so intense. I was ready to puke. And then my kids were all little, and I'd be screaming at them to be quiet because it was so painful. Like
Yeah.
it was, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 20. And your listeners will get that. Um, you can't meditate right then. You
Right.
can't do a
Of course not.
mindset shift. And so I say, get through it, whatever it takes. Do some hydrotherapy, do some pain, whatever it takes. I don't care what it takes. When you're in that state where it's more manageable, like at a 5, right? That's when you go and do these things to give your body the tools. So my number one thing is always nature. I was in Wisconsin for 20 years, Rita, and I would be like, listen, I don't care if it's 20 below, I'm going outside. Every
Wow.
I was dedicated. Yeah, I was dedicated. And I'd wrap the scarf 10 times around my head, put the hoodie on, all the clothes. I hated it. I'm not a cold weather, but that fresh air always, always brought me back to a place of healing. Right.
Hmm.
And then I was able to go to the next step, the next step, the next step. So here in Florida, of course, you're California. I tell people every single day for 1 hour, go walking or just sit by the water, go hug a tree, go barefoot, do something to be out in nature on some level. That there's a connection in the energy of nature that I've never seen be replicated ever. And can you meditate out there? 100% yes. But just when you're in pain, there's something so healing and soothing being out there that could take you to the next level so you can meditate. that was my precursor to doing the actual meditation.
Interesting. I know they, did these studies, the blue zones, and they said that, these people who live to be 100, etc., most of them are gardening. They're out in nature, hands in dirt, with the sun in their eyes every day. That was very
Yeah.
interesting to me. Yeah.
I love the blue zones. That's a whole section of the world that people need to study more. It's amazing. They all live to 100. I met some of them in California, actually.
Oh, cool.
They're active. They're like, they have no problems with dementia and Alzheimer's. They're active. They're talking to you, and they're 100, 102, 103 years
Yeah.
old. It's crazy, right?
I have a picture of a man who's running a marathon, and he's 100 years old, like on my board. I look at him every day for inspiration.
Yeah, can be done. No reason to be in pain as we get older. None.
Yeah. Well, so now, Judy, what have you got? I know you have put together a wellness reset for women. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Reset and Recharge is a program that now, and you're a part of this, of course. So everybody knows, I only have the best on there, and Rita's the best. Holy cow, she blew me away with her
Aw.
teaching. Yeah, stellar, just
Oh,
absolutely
well, thank you,
stellar.
Judy.
Yeah, no, I'm not just saying that because
No,
I'm
I
your
know, but
guest. Like I
you're
really
being
mean it.
sweet.
Yeah,
But
so there's a bunch of us on there who are people who have healed ourselves, right? And what we do is take people week by week to do a program where they could see, like, hey, I have this pain, I'm worried about this disease, and walk them through. So my part in this is doing a mini 3-day detox, very, very simple. We start out by getting rid of the toxins, and then each week after that, they're going to be talking to people like you, Rita, and others who are going to show them, oh, this is what we do this week. We work on the weight and the sugar cravings and the impulses. And then the next week we talk about sleep issues. And then next week we talk, all this, so that in 8 weeks, people walk out and say, oh my goodness, I know exactly what I have to do because I've already felt the difference. And all I have to do is just do a little bit every day. Bingo, dingo. So we talk about foods, natural therapies, the things, the tools, the simple tools that people need to do on a daily. It doesn't take a lot of time, but you got to get there to know how to use the tools. And that's what this program is all about.
wow, sounds great. I'm gonna put the link in the show notes. I mean, I know we had our conversation, but I have it, and I've seen the experts that you have lined up. They all look amazing, and I know a couple of them. I know they really do great jobs teaching, um, and love what they do. So, out of all the stuff we talked about today, Epsom salt bath, upping protein, and lowering sugar, what would you say would be, like, do it in order, 1 2 3, like, is like if somebody was going to just get started working on their chronic pain? I know
The
you're going to
first
say all, but which one first?
Yeah, the first thing really is the mindset of knowing that you can heal and it's time to take care of yourself. I think the biggest thing as women is that we don't think that we should put ourselves first. And as a
Right.
single mother, as a business owner, and as a woman helping the community, that's a big mindset shift. And I know you've helped people with that, Rita. This is so important. So you have to believe that, okay, I need to take care of myself. And that means doing something for yourself every day. If you could do 30 minutes, that's great. If you could do 15 minutes, that's great. But something where you say, okay, I need to do this. I need to do a natural therapy. I need to do something I need to just go outside and be away from the family for this next hour.
Right.
If you don't do that, you're going to be spinning your wheels and keep jumping around to supplements and all the BS that goes with that, right? Because you haven't made the shift of, oh, I want that magic pill. I just want something quick to get me out of pain. It's not going to heal you. You got to make the mindset shift of, I deserve and I need to do something for myself every day to go to my next level and heal. That's the fastest way because then you're thinking clearly of what it takes to take yourself to that next level.
Right. It's kind of offensive versus defensive,
Right.
right? Yeah, totally get it. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Judy. This has really been eye-opening, and you've given us some really tactical, doable first steps forward. So I really appreciate that. And we will put your link for your wellness reset. Tell me the proper name of it again, please.
Reset and recharge.
Thank you.
No problem.
See, my mind needs a reset and recharge, and also links how to connect with you as well. But thank you so much for your time today. It is always awesome to see you, and you.
Yeah, thank you. I loved it. And anybody who has questions, hey, tell them to email me. We'll put that down below as well. Love to help people.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Dr. Judy. Thank you, Dr. Judy. Please download the 4 free guides that Dr. Judy has provided in the show notes, and subscribe also to the Thin Thinking podcast while you're at it, so you never miss an episode. Have an amazing week, everyone, and remember that the key, and probably the only key to unlocking the door of the weight struggle, is inside you. So keep listening and find it. You want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release? Head on over to www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you'll find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking: Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss.